Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Georgiana with Expressions Craft Studio, and as stated before, I am going to be working on a Suncatcher today. Now I did one yesterday for practice, and I'm trying to remember where I put it. Alright, I had to go track it down, but I found it. It's right where I left it, of course. It's this guy that I made yesterday. And I already had these key ring rings. Whoops. These were blue ones. Actually, all of these, I think, except maybe for these two here and this one, were my mom's beads. They're all glass or natural stone. These are, I believe, lava. And this little guy, I just purchased this guy in a little leather, I shouldn't say little, it's a large leather and beadworking shop in Springfield, Missouri. I don't remember the name of it, but I'll try to look it up and put their link at the bottom. I don't even know if they sell online, but I just really went in there looking for a few things to add to my mom's stash that were bigger than seed beads, because that's what most of hers was. And I just couldn't pass it up. I didn't know what I was going to do with it at the time, but I had to have it because I love butterflies and dragonflies and birds and hummingbirds and all that. So this one isn't very long. It measures, let's see, starting at the 4 here. It's about 10 inches from the top of the key ring up here to the bottom. I didn't make it very long. I thought I'd hang it at my kitchen window, and I may do that, or I may, the bail's a little messed up. Let me flip that around. Or I may move it in here to my craft room. Oh, I might have done that wrong. Might not have had that straight, and now it won't straighten out. Oh dear, I might have to take that bail off and replace it, but that's not the end of the world. I can do that because it should have been with the tip down, and it wasn't, and I didn't realize that when I was putting all this string on there. So, oh well, I'll fix that later. But I just used fishing line. I already had some of that for my paper beads. The 50-pound test was too thick and wouldn't go through a lot of my beads, so I had purchased some, I think, 10-pound test line. I got it from Walmart. It was a couple bucks for 700 yards. Now, some people use wire for these. I've been looking at a lot of videos. I even posted on a Facebook group asking about what type of beads they use, and most of them said it really depends on how you're using them. If they're going to be indoors and they're just for you, you can use whatever kind of beads you want. If you're going to hang them outside, you really want glass, natural stone, which is what these are, or crystals, because they'll hold up longer over time. If you're selling them, you're going to probably want to use wire instead of fishing line, just because. And again, if you're selling them, you're not going to want to use any of the plastic or acrylic beads that are out there. Yeah, there's some really cute ones, but if you're selling them, you can use those, I guess, as long as people understand that their color will fade in the sunlight over time. These are just for me, so I'm going to use whatever beads I have. Most of these, like I said, are natural stone, glass, or crystal. This one's acrylic. This little guy here is acrylic. This is probably acrylic. Everything else is glass. Well, no. This big guy here, which was part of my mom's stash, this is acrylic. But again, it's going to go in the window. It's faceted, so it's going to shimmer and shine nicely and hopefully reflect the light really well. So I doubled up my string. I quadrupled my string. I wonder if that makes that 40-pound test in the long run. So I took 4 links and then some of what my overall, oops, I'm caught up in my pliers over here. There we go. What my overall design is. I don't know that you need to do it 4 ways. I've got crimp beads, but I'm not very good with them, so I'd rather not use them. I did one yesterday as a test. I think I threw it in the trash, and It just squished so nasty. It was, I don't know what it was. It wasn't good. All right, that's probably good. So cut some of that off. I'm going to try to keep this in camera so you can see what I'm doing, but my desk is an absolute mess. I've still got my paper bead stuff everywhere. All my inks are all over everything. So it'll be a little tough. Okay, so the one thing I forgot to get out was a jump ring here, which I don't necessarily need, but I do kind of like to have them just because I think it makes it a little bit easier, and I've got so many. So hold on for just a moment while I see if I can find one that I like. Alright, I had another little blue one just like the one I used yesterday, and that's what I'm going to use. I've got some bigger ones, but I think they're too big for what I'm doing here. I'm not putting anything real heavy on here. It only probably measures about 10 inches like the other one. Yeah, a little bit less actually. So what I'm doing is I'm just finding the ends of my string, and again, you don't have to do it this way. There are multiple ways to do it. In fact, I didn't see anybody do it this way in all of the videos I've watched, but it just kind of is how it worked out for me. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to find the center, which I know this is really hard for you to see. I'm going to put it through my ring, and then I'm going to run my string through that. So I'm just making a loose little, I don't know if you call it a slip knot or what, but it's somehow it has managed to work its way into those little, oops, and out again. All right, let's try that again. I probably have way too much line here, but I wanted it to be extra strong, and honestly, this was the simplest way I came up with for myself. Like I said, there are lots of videos out there to show you how to make Suncatchers. This was just, oops, where is that? I want my ends to stay together because it's easier to feed them through the beads. Okay, so I still did it wrong. Okay, I'm going to lay that here. And I should just run my string right through that loop there. There we go. I don't know what I was doing wrong before. I'm going to turn it around so it's as far away from this here so that they don't get caught, the strings don't get caught up in there. Okay, and I'm just giving it a little pull, and then I'm going to knot it, which I am just doing, I don't know if they're called surgeon's knots or what they're called, but I'm basically finding my ends here. Oh, it's farther out than I thought. So I'm going to take my two ends and cross them over like this, and then I'm going to wrap it at least twice. Once, twice. I even did it 3 times yesterday, but I want to keep this one kind of small, so I'm just going to do it twice. Trying to go slow so the string stays centered, and that makes a nice tiny little knot. I'm going to pull on it pretty good. Alright, so now I'm going to start loading my beads, and I'm going to start from the top and work my way down, because once I get to the bottom I'm going to run my fishing line back up through a good portion of the beads. I may or may not go all the way to the top, but somewhere in the middle where there's kind of a loose spot between the beads, I will tie the knot and then cut it off. So I'm going to start with this as a bead. I thought these were so pretty. I actually bought these at a bead show. Trying to get it to focus in. They're pearls with little rhinestoney things around them. I don't know. They were expensive, so I'm guessing they're, I don't know if they're real. I don't want to say they're real, but I mean, they could be. Went to a bead show in Raleigh's where I got those, and I got some blue ones, which I haven't been able to find, but they're very similar. And anyway, I just thought this was so pretty. It's kind of almost got a little teardrop shape on the top, and then it's the flat part on the bottom. And I like that. So we're going to use one of those today. I got a string. It only had like 8 or 10 beads on it. And I'm only using one because, like I said, I don't remember exactly what I paid for them, but I do remember they were expensive. Now this is just a little acrylic bead. I bought it to go on beaded pins, but the hole's too small. And as I've said before, I'm really new to beading. I don't understand, first of all, I don't understand millimeters and centimeters. Second, I don't understand the difference between, you know, when you see the diameter of a bead, they don't always give you the size of the hole. So sometimes I get confused what I'm looking at, and these were really cute, but again, you're buying them online and without seeing them in person, and so you don't know, I don't know how big they are or what they look like. So that's what we got so far. I'm going to trim my strings because they're off a little bit, and that's going to drive me nuts. So let's see if these scissors will even cut it. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to go to the next one, which is this natural stone. I don't know what kind of stone. It's kind of a blue purpley, and it may even be dyed. I know they dye some of them. I don't know. There's even a little bit of brown in there, but it's really pretty. So then I added a couple little seed beads on either side of some small crystal beads. I think the crystal beads are rondelles, but they might not be. I don't know. If you know and I'm wrong, feel free to correct me. I don't like passing out misinformation. Let's see. And the reason I put those two seed beads, those glass seed beads on there, is because I wanted some separation between these crystal beads. Oh, wait a minute. I think I'm, oh, that rolled over. That's got to go. Okay, I see what I did. Let's see, I wanted some on either side. My cat's unhappy. She thinks it's time for her lunch or dinner. I don't know. She eats all the time, so who knows. Did I get both of them? I did. Okay. I really need to clean my desk, but I'm going to go back to making paper beads, so I didn't want to put everything away. So this is what we got so far. Well, that's pretty. That's a clear bead, but it's picking up the colors in the background. Look how pretty that is. All right, so we're going to keep going. I apologize if I'm getting off camera. I said the other day I had moved my camera and everything, and I'm still adjusting. I'm trying to pick up these little bitty guys. So I don't have one of those. You may have noticed I don't have one of those nice beading trays. I've never really felt the need for one because I've never really done a lot of bead work. Most people who do this kind of stuff do have one, and I can see where they would be really beneficial. I've got felt in there. I could probably make my own, but I think eventually I will get one if this is something I continue doing. What I did with this is it's just cardstock. I took a piece that was maybe 4 inches wide, if that, folded it in half, flipped it over, and then folded it back on itself again halfway. So just so that my beads weren't rolling all over the place. Let's see here. So if you can find one of those, if you're into beading, you're getting interested in it, and you find one at a garage sale or a thrift store, or somebody's got one that they just want to give away, I would encourage you to snatch it up, because I do think it's pretty beneficial. The way they're made, they kind of carve out a space for the beads so they're not going everywhere. Plus they have little wells in different designs, depending on the one you buy, where you can kind of just lay your different styles of beads out in different little wells to keep them separated, which certainly makes them easier to put away when you're done and you have all the extras. Okay, let's see what we've got so far. I like it. I like it. Okay. So I am excited to make these because I literally want to hang them all over the house. I've got 5 nice big windows in the kitchen. I think they'll be beautiful in there. I've got 1 big window here in my craft room. I think they'll be beautiful hanging there. I've got some big windows in my living room, which I have drapes over them, so I wouldn't see them most of the time, but all right, so that was 2 clear seed beads. Actually, they're not clear. They're like a frosted glass seed bead. I don't know, they do seem to have a white core in them. If that helps, it doesn't mean anything to me, but it might mean something to you. Oh, so I just keep trying to keep those even, and I keep getting them uneven. Yeah, and I've only got 1. Okay. Let's see, let's try that again. There we go. Whoops. Now I've had some of these that were shorter that hung in my car on my rearview mirror. I don't have it anymore, I don't think, so I don't know what happened to it in the move, but it was nice. It definitely caught the prism, put the little rainbow colors out everywhere. But you wouldn't want it very long. You don't want it to impede with your driving. They could make nice little cell phone tassels, or I don't know. I mean, I guess you could do just about anything with them. This is another one of those little lava beads. I got them in a bunch of different sizes. I don't know what kind of coating they have on them, but it kind of gives it a rainbow look to it. There's different colors that show up all over it. I say lava because they're pitted, and whoops, it doesn't really want to focus. There you go. Anyway, I thought they were pretty. I've got much bigger ones, but I wanted to kind of vary my sizes a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to go back to, oh, you know what? I didn't want that lava one on there. I'm sorry, I'm going to take that off. I want the 2 seed beads, the glass seed beads on either side of the crystal, because I want to be able to let that crystal really stand out. I ordered some beading needles from Walmart, but they weren't in my grocery order when I got it, and I'm a little unhappy about that because I really think they would help make this easier for me. Okay, now I can put on this little lava bead. All right, I think that's what I was looking for. So see how it separates those crystals. Love it. So you could do this if you don't want to go out and buy a bunch of beads and you don't already have them. You could do this with old jewelry, just take it apart. You could do it with some old light fixtures that have the little tassel, you know, the little glass or acrylic chandelier baubles on them. Trying to think what else you could use with them. But jewelry is definitely good. When I wouldn't go to a flea market to buy jewelry. If you find it at a garage sale, that's where you probably get your best price on it. Because you don't want to use expensive stuff, I wouldn't think. Or maybe you do. I don't know. It's up to you. I would say thrift stores are probably a good place to look for crafts products or supplies. We have got tons of thrift stores here in our area here in north central Arkansas. You can't shake a stick without hitting one. I'm not somebody who's ever really enjoyed shopping, so I don't go in them often. But I might have to start now that I have a new hobby and I'm trying to not spend money all the time. There we go. Time for another crystal. I don't think they're acrylic. I think it's glass, but it's so small anyway, it's hard for me to know. I'm sure there are people out there who could look at it and tell, but I cannot. Boy, them little sea beads are hard on these fat fingers to pick up. There we go. One more. Okay. Did I get that on both strings? Yes, I did. Okay, so now we're going to pick up another one of our natural stone beads. I'm pretty sure, like I said, these have been dyed. I don't know how you dye stone, but I have seen a lot of them listed that way, so apparently it is possible. I found some real pretty ones that were agate slices, but they were also had a really pretty price on them, so I let them lay right where they were. Alright, so it's another one of those lava beads. The good thing about this fishing wire, it's a little stiff, and so it is easier to thread than just like thread. Wire would be even easier still, and I have wire. And I do want to make some because I've seen some that were shaped nicely. Most of them then were wire wrapped, which is not something I've ever done, but it doesn't, I mean, a simple design doesn't look that difficult, so we might have to give that a try too. But I will need to clean off my desk first because it is a mess. Let's see here. The more I think about it, I think these probably are plastic, but or acrylic, whatever you want to call them. I think it's the same thing, or at least a version of the same thing. Oops, get in the hole. There you go. One more of those little guys, and I'll be happy not to see those anymore today. Well, except I will, because I'm going to feed back up through the... Okay, this one's really tight. Or I'm just really blind. Let's see here. Okay, got it. We are almost to the tail end, and then we'll start wrapping the fishing line back up. Last one of those. Again, this one's so pretty, but it's acrylic. But it will be in the house, so it should last a little while. Alright, so this one is acrylic. So I don't know, those might be crystal, those smaller ones, because I can feel the difference. Mostly in the weight, but even the texture a little bit, which sounds weird. Okay, why aren't you going in the hole? Alright, so I'm going to wrap this around. So I'm going to move this out of the way. Although, you probably don't want to see my dirty... Here, we'll flip it over. My ink stained paper towel. We'll flip that over. And then I'm going to start feeding back up through the bottom. And you don't have to do it this way. You can certainly tie knots and use crimp beads I need to practice with crimp beads since I've never really done a lot of beading, and I'm clearly not very good at it, at the crimping part. Becky Foster recommends the magic crimping tool in beads, and she does make it look easy, so I might have to give that a try at some point. But I've got a lot that I need to use that they're just cheap ones. Like I said, I did make some jewelry for my niece once upon a time and her friends, and they didn't care, and I knew they wouldn't last long, so it didn't really matter. I'm just kind of cinching that up a little bit. Probably should have put a bead at the bottom there, but I didn't. Okay. I wonder if you could, well, then you worry about making it too thick to go through, but I wonder if you could melt these two ends together. Does that sound crazy? Okay, this is going to be a little tough. See if I can get it through both of those at the same time. I think I might have even got it through the crystal. Well, at least one of them is. Oh, there's the other one. Aha! Well, that worked out nicely. Alright, so my goal here, I think, if I can do it, if I don't run out of patience before then, let's see here, is to get back up to this like Pandora style bead where I can make the knot and it'll fit, kind of slide up into that hole there so you won't see it. That's my goal. But first, we've got to get there. And you could go all the way to the top if you want and make your knot back up there. If I had a beading needle, I think that's what I'd try to do. But since I can't find any of my mom's, I know they're probably here somewhere. Oh, one of those actually went through a fourth bead. Okay. So let me get you through here. I don't know where it's going. Okay. Work with me here, work with me. Okay, now I've got them both back to the same point. Alright, let's get the ends even again. There we go. So now I need to go back up through the other seed bead, the lava bead, the natural stone. You know what? I wonder if I do wrap that like that. If I can, there we go. Well, okay, here we go. Sorry about the mumbling. Can I get it through that one too? Nope. Come on, guys. Maybe if I hold it up. Oh, what am I doing? Okay. Let me untangle myself here for a second. Okay. I've just slid the bottom beam down a little bit so I can have a little more slack in here to make it easier on myself. There you are. Somehow or other I've gotten looped up. There we go. Okay, we're getting there. I might just make it to that rondelle, or that what did I say, that Pandora style bead yet. Let's see here. Okay, this might be, oh no, there it goes. Well, it started to anyway, and it jammed. Now you will see some beads, even though you might buy the same beads, the hole size is different, so you may have to try a different bead. I wouldn't think that would be too big an issue on your second run through if you're doing it like I'm doing it, but on your first run through would be when you'd hopefully be able to weed those out. Well, looks like it's trying to go through the seed beads again. At least one of them did. I don't know where the other one ended up at. I'm just going to pull this one through. Maybe. I've got a traffic jam. Alright, let me pull that back out of there. Okay. It might be that it's just a little too tight in here for this one. Nope. There we go. Okay. That's good. So then I've got to go back through the seed beads, and then we'll be even again. Okay. Try to do them at the same time. Oh, this filament gets in the way and it's hard to see. There we go. Okay. 2 more seed beads and 2 more round beads, and we'll be at the Pandora style bead with the big hole. So let me find get my ends lined up again. Oh, I do have to go through this crystal too. Okay, get my fingers toward the tip here. Very good. There is a natural curve to this fishing line from being wound up on the spool, so if you can kind of line that up, it can kind of help you work with by keeping the ends together. Well, that probably didn't make any sense. I had 3 or 4 different thoughts rumbling at the same time. Come on. Nope. You can do it. There we go. I got 2 of them. And you do want to make sure you don't end up lassoing your project, so you do want to kind of go slow. There we go. Yeah, I'm definitely not going to have the patience to make it all the way back up to the top, so we'll get to that big hole bead and we will stop. So I do have, I'm thinking, I've got some ideas. I'm going to have my nephew is going to have a baby, him and his wife, later this fall, and their theme at this point for the baby room or the nursery is under the sea, and blues will work really nicely in an undersea theme. Blues and clears and crystals and all that. So I've got an idea. I've made baby mobiles before, and I usually make the dangly bits with cardstock, but I think I'm going to incorporate some beads. And I know I can even get fish themed beads, but they're a little bit on the small side for what I'm looking at. So it may be a combination of beads and ribbon and some stuff with my Cricut. But when we start making that, we will, I say we like I'm multiple people, and maybe I am, I don't know. But we will show you what we're working on then. Okay, do I need to pull this up a little bit more, or is that probably pretty good? I don't want it too tight. I think that's probably good. So you can see I have got a lot of extra string here. I'm going to cut some of that off just to make it easier on myself. Now if I had gone all the way to the top, I wouldn't have had as much extra, but because I'm not. So let me see if I can zoom this in and then keep it on screen. So the goal here when I tie my knot is to get it to slip into that big hole bead there. Okay, so I'm going to do just what I did at the top, but I'm going to do it a couple of times. So I'm going to go over the loop and through, and over, oops, the loop and through, and I think I'm going to do it 3 times because I want to make sure this does not come untied unless I decide to untie it at some point in the future. Okay, work with me here, work with me. And I'm trying not to pull too hard but firmly because I don't want to snap the line. I haven't fished since I was a kid, so I don't know what 10-pound test equates to. Alright, so we're going to do that again. We're going to go 1 through, come here, 2 through, and 3 through. And when I say through, I just mean the loop that we created. And that just gives it a little bit of extra body. Now, can we see that knot? Can you see the knot? Yeah. Oh, you could if I could get in the right spot. You see that knot there? But it's going to slip right inside that bead, and it will not be visible. So I think for good measure, I am going to do, since I have so much room between those beads, or inside that bead, I'm going to do it one more time. Just because I want a good, strong knot. Okay. So, find something to cut this with. Where are these? These probably are the sharpest ones I have. I want to get in close. Now you could probably add a little bit of glue to that if you wanted to. I don't think I need to. I think it's going to be good. Some more fishing line scraps. My trash can's almost full. There we go. Oh, looky there. That hangs nicely. Let me zoom back out. And that's always the wrong way. Okay, so you can't really see very well, but it hangs nicely. It's not too tight. I've got just a little bit of extra room here at the top, so it's not putting too much tension on anything. And that knot is completely hidden inside this big hole bead here. So nobody's going to see it. So here we go. We got our little Suncatcher. A little combination of my beads and my mom's beads. There we go. Do it like this. Actually, I'm going to do it like this. That way it looks like it's hanging down. I know, nobody cares but me. So there you go, guys. Let me know what you think. I wish I had some more bigger beads, but this is what I've got to work with, and I'm determined not to buy a bunch. Now, I could get out my polymer clay and make some. I haven't touched it in years. It may not even still be workable. I don't know. But who knows? Maybe someday. I do need to get it out, actually, because I want to make handles for my cotter pins for my paper beads. So I will be getting some of it out, and we'll see then if it's still workable. But that's our Suncatcher for the day. So let's just kind of do a slow woohoo. All right, well, I don't know what you guys think, but I'm pretty happy with it. So I'd love to hear your comments. I'd love to see what you do. You can go to Expressions Craft Studio page and post your pictures if you want to. And guys, until next time, happy crafting.